The day Arya received the news of her grandmother's passing, she walked the long dusty road back to the village lawyer's office with a sinking heart. She didn't expect any property, any gold, any land. Her grandmother had lived a simple life on the outskirts of the village, tending a small shed, growing a few vegetables, and singing old poems to Arya as a child. But when the lawyer pushed his glasses up his nose and cleared his throat, Arya still felt her breath hitch as he said, "Your grandmother left you her most valuable possession." Arya braced herself for maybe a small piece of jewelry, a diary, maybe even a faded photograph. Instead, the lawyer pointed to a rope tied outside his window. And at the end of that rope stood a cow. A brown, sleepy-eyed, slightly underfed cow. Arya blinked. "A cow." The lawyer nodded. "Her name is Dilari. Your grandmother insisted she's special. She said one day Dilari would change your life." Arya almost smiled at the absurdity. "A cow is going to change my life." The lawyer shrugged. That's what she believed. Arya took the rope, sighed, and began leading Dilari back toward her small rented room. Villagers chuckled gently as she passed. "So that's all the inheritance. At least you'll get milk. Maybe the cow brings luck." Arya just tightened her grip on the rope and whispered to the cow, "Well, it's you and me now." That night she sat on the step outside her room, watching the cow nibble grass. The moon hung low. The air was quiet. She felt alone, but something about the cow's calm presence softened her grief. "Grandma must have seen something in you," she murmured, patting Dilari's neck. Dilari let out a soft hum, as if answering. The next morning, Arya woke to a commotion outside. Voices murmuring, shoes crunching on dirt. She stepped out to find 3 black SUVs parked on the narrow village road. Men in suits stood around, scanning the area, speaking into earpieces. It looked surreal, like a movie scene dropped into a place it didn't belong. "Excuse me," Arya asked one of them, "what's going on?" The man didn't answer. He simply stood straight and silent. Then the back door of one SUV opened. A tall man stepped out. Well-tailored suit, dark hair, sharp eyes that took in every detail. He looked impossibly out of place in the dusty village morning. And then his eyes landed on the cow. "That's her," he said. Arya frowned. "Her who?" The man approached, stopping a few feet away. "My name is Ethan Vale." Arya froze. Ethan Vale wasn't just any name. He was the billionaire CEO of Vale Industries, frequently on the news for buying companies, funding tech innovations, and traveling with security convoys. What was he doing here? Ethan pointed again at the cow. "I'm here for that." Arya instinctively stepped in front of Dilari. "You're here for my cow." One of his assistants opened a metal case, revealing documents. Ethan looked at Arya with calm confidence. "I believe that cow belongs to me." Arya bristled. She crossed her arms. "No, she's mine. My grandmother left her to me. And she's the only thing she left." Ethan's expression didn't change, but his jaw tightened. "Your grandmother may have believed that. But Dilari is not an ordinary cow." Dilari moved softly behind Arya as if agreeing with both sides. Arya lifted her chin. "You can't just walk in and take her." "I'm not here to take her," Ethan said. "I'm here to buy her." "Name your price." "She's not for sale. Everything has a price," Ethan replied, voice low, controlled. "Not her," Arya said firmly. Ethan studied her face, her stance, her certainty. For a moment the billionaire seemed thrown off. He wasn't used to being denied. Not by boardrooms, not by governments, and definitely not by a young woman with dust on her sandals and a stubborn fire in her eyes. "Why?" he asked finally. "Why hold on to her?" Arya swallowed. "Because she's all I have left of my grandmother. And because she trusted this cow. She said she was special." Ethan's gaze flicked to the cow again. Then back to Arya. "She was right," he said quietly. Arya blinked. "What does that mean?" Ethan didn't answer. Instead, he gestured to the open SUV door. "Come with me. Bring the cow. I'll explain everything." Arya felt the villagers watching. Felt her heart thump. But something in Ethan's voice wasn't threatening. It was urgent, sincere. Against her better judgment, she nodded. The convoy drove toward the far outskirts of the village, to a fenced property Arya had never known existed. Inside were rows of greenhouses, solar panels, and machines humming quietly. Scientists walked around in lab coats. Arya stared wide-eyed. It was a research facility, hidden in plain sight. Ethan led her through security gates and into a brightly lit lab. "Before you panic," he said, "let me assure you, we're not here to harm the cow." Dilari stood calmly beside Arya, chewing contentedly as if she visited labs every day. Ethan tapped a tablet, revealing data, graphs, DNA sequences. Years ago, Vale Industries funded a project on agricultural resilience. Your grandmother's farm was one of the trial sites. We tested a natural, non-chemical formula meant to improve cattle health and milk quality. Harmless, organic. But one cow, this cow, responded unusually. Arya listened, confused. Responded how? Enhanced longevity, resistance to disease, unusual milk composition with medicinal properties. We've been tracking her quietly for years. But your grandmother refused to sell her. Arya felt a sting of pride. Of course she did. Ethan nodded. 2 months ago, our satellites detected irregular biochemical markers again, stronger this time. That's why I'm here. Arya put a protective hand on the cow's neck. So you want to experiment on her? No, Ethan said. I want to understand her. With your permission. Arya looked around. Machines, scientists, guards. The man in front of her worth billions. And her cow, her only inheritance, her last piece of family. What do I get? She asked finally, her voice steady. Ethan didn't hesitate. A partnership. Your cow remains yours. You remain her owner. We only study her, with care, under your supervision. You'll be paid for the data rights. Arya frowned. How much paid? Ethan typed quickly and turned the tablet around. The number had too many zeros. Arya's breath hitched. You're kidding. I don't joke in contracts. Arya felt her heart tremble. This amount could change everything. Repair her grandmother's home, buy land, maybe even start the small dairy business she always dreamed about. But she also felt the weight of responsibility. I need time to think, she said. Ethan nodded. Of course. But know this, I came personally because your grandmother trusted you. And because I think you're someone who doesn't get intimidated by wealth. She blinked. Why would you think that? Ethan's lips curved slightly. Because you were willing to fight me over a cow. Arya almost smiled. Almost. She spent the whole day at the facility. Watching, listening, protecting Dilari. The scientists examined the cow gently, taking milk samples, scanning her with harmless devices. Dilari seemed to enjoy the attention. Ethan watched from afar sometimes, arms crossed, deep in thought. By evening, Arya sat outside the lab with the cow resting beside her. Ethan walked over quietly. You care a lot for her, he said. She's all I have. You could have more, Ethan replied softly. Arya shook her head. Money isn't everything. Ethan exhaled. No, but purpose is. She could help millions, Arya. Her milk contains natural compounds that could treat early-stage diseases. We've never seen anything like it. Arya stared at Dilari, stunned. Grandma always said her milk healed fevers fast. I thought it was just a village belief. It wasn't, Ethan said. Your grandmother was raising a miracle and didn't even know it. Arya closed her eyes. The weight of the decision pressed on her. If I agree, what happens next? Ethan crouched slightly, getting to her eye level. His voice was gentler than before. Then we work together. You stay involved in every step. You approve every test. And Dilari stays with you. Arya opened her eyes. Why do you care so much about this? You could have sent your board, your scientists, anyone. Ethan looked away briefly, then back at her with a rare vulnerability. My mother died young. A disease they didn't catch early. If something like this milk existed then, she might have lived. Arya's heart softened. She finally understood. Not the billionaire. Not the CEO. Not the powerful man in suits and convoys. But the son. The human behind walls of wealth. She touched Dilari's neck and whispered, maybe this is why Grandma said she was special. Ethan waited silently. When Arya finally spoke, her voice was calm but decisive. I'll do it, but only if it's done the right way. Ethan smiled. Not the billionaire smile she expected, but a quiet, grateful one. With you involved, it will be. The weeks that followed changed everything. Arya moved into a modern living space within the facility. Dilari had a comfortable open area enclosure filled with grass, caretakers, and constant affection. Arya attended every research meeting, learned scientific terms she'd never heard before, and surprised the team with her quick understanding and intuition. Ethan visited often, sometimes for work, sometimes to talk, sometimes just to stand by the enclosure with Arya and watch Dilawri chew peacefully. They argued sometimes too. Arya questioned decisions. Ethan challenged her ideas. But the more they worked together, the more something unspoken settled between them: respect, trust, and something softer neither dared to name. One evening, after a long day of tests, Arya found Ethan standing alone outside, staring at the glowing horizon. "You look tired," she said. He smiled faintly. "You sound like you care." "I do," she admitted quietly. He turned to her, the sunset painting gold across his face. "Arya, you've changed this place. Changed how we work. Changed me." She swallowed, suddenly aware of how close they were. "I didn't mean to. That's why it happened," Ethan whispered. Before either could say more, Dilawri mooed loudly, demanding attention, breaking the tension. Arya laughed. Ethan shook his head. "Even your cow knows timing." Months passed. Data poured in. Dilawri's milk was confirmed to have a unique healing compound: natural, safe, potent. News spread slowly but carefully. Partnerships formed. Trials began. The world was on the cusp of a medical revolution, all starting from a single inherited cow. And one morning, as Arya walked into the lab, Ethan stood waiting with a document in his hand. "What's this?" Arya asked. "Your share," Ethan said. "You're now officially co-owner of the entire research branch." Arya's eyes widened. "Ethan, this is too much." "No," he said gently. "This is justice. None of this existed without you. Or her." He nodded toward Dilawri. Arya's throat tightened. "I don't know what to say." "Then don't say anything," he replied softly. He stepped closer. "Just stay. Work with me. Build this future together." Arya looked into his eyes. The billionaire. The scientist. The man who had walked into her village and turned her world upside down. And yet, standing here now, he felt like someone she had known. "Forever. I'll stay," she whispered. Ethan's smile grew slowly, warmly. "Good." Dilawri mooed again. They both laughed. And in that bright, busy lab, with machines humming, sunlight streaming, and a cow that changed their lives, Arya realized her grandmother had been right. The inheritance wasn't the cow. It was the future the cow would bring. And maybe, someone to share it with.